Now at 10, the brother of a fallen Joplin police officer makes a documentary about his brother's life. Plus, an Oklahoma court recognizes the sovereignty of the Wyandot Nation. We'll explain the impact. And students at Neosho High School host a multicultural event.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Exactly 2 years have passed since the fatal shootings of 2 Joplin police officers. Now the brother of one of those fallen heroes has a message for all of us. This is KOIM News at 10. I'm Dow Quick. The date was March 8th, 2022, when Officer Jake Reed and Corporal Ben Cooper were shot in the line of duty by a gunman in the parking lot of Joplin's North Park Crossing. The injuries proved fatal. The gunman was killed in a shootout with other officers. In honor of Jake Reed, his brother Sam Reed made a short film expressing the mourning and emotions his family has been dealing with for 2 years. KOIM's Amber Jenkins has more.
Growing up in Northwest Arkansas, the Reed brothers knew from an early age what they were going to become.
He was going to be the cop, I was going to make films, and it was just always his calling, and we always knew he was going to achieve it.
Jake Reed moved to Joplin for college and stayed for the community.
And he loved his job so much. He is the kind of cop that if all cops were like him, I feel like we'd have such a safer, better world. You know, he was the example of what a good officer is.
While serving, a gunman fatally shot Reed on March 8, 2022 in Joplin. His younger brother, Sam Reed, still fills the void.
It's hard, and I don't think it ever gets easier within like the 2 years. It still feels like it was yesterday. And I'm still trying to make sense of all of it, and I still feel like he's gonna give me a call or just show up.
As a filmmaker, Sam wanted to honor his brother and show his mourning through a camera lens.
I've never been the same since the day you died.
I'm not trying to make any statement about being a cop or what that's like. It's just a personal story about brotherhood and grieving and figuring out how to survive without someone. Because a lot of people don't know what that's like until it hits them. And with that energy and love and support, I'm planning on making a feature-length film over the next couple of years.
The next film will be more in depth about who Jake was and give a chance to those who never met Jake feel his spirit, like his son Charlie.
Jake always loved the name Charlie. He said if we have a boy, it's gonna be Charlie. It's really rough because I can't just call him up or walk into his house unannounced or anything like that. But I talk to him all the time, and I know that he can hear me because I feel him all the time, and he haunts me.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOIM News.
You can see Sam Reed's short 8-minute film titled In the Morning on Sunday at the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. It's one of several short films on various topics that'll be shown a number of times from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. If you're looking for a later showing, the films will be at Route 66 Theater in Webb City from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. The Newton County, Missouri Sheriff announces his retirement. Sheriff Chris Jennings today announced he'll not seek re-election when his current term is up. Jennings has spent 44 years in law enforcement, including 32 at the Newton County Sheriff's Office. This is his second term as sheriff. He says health concerns are the driving force behind the decision. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy for a first look at the weather.
Well, it turned out to be a chilly Friday for us today. Of course, we had showers, we had thunderstorms, even some severe weather yesterday evening into the overnight hours. We had a midnight high. We actually sat mainly upper 40s, lower 50s all day long, but this is right where we should be for this time of the year. In fact, we dropped to 43 by 5 p.m. We still have these northerly winds, so it's been kind of breezy across the region. North winds 5 to 10 to 15. As we go through the night, the winds will slowly diminish, which is going to be great. We do still have some light showers, which are tracking across our southern counties, and you can see these guys kind of sticking around. We'll stop 1:30 in the morning, but most of this could mix with a few flakes of snow, but most of this is gone by morning. We cool down, but dry out for the weekend. We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
See you soon. A Missouri-based organization is recognizing the hard work of a Joplin eating disorder clinic. The clinic's name is Reconnect. It's part of Freeman Health System's Ozark Center. It helps local residents of all ages manage and heal from eating disorders. They also hope to teach healthy eating habits.
Middle school, you were hearing about everyone else going on diets, and I think I had developed an affinity for diets and extreme diets. I don't think it was until I had left home and I was going to school away from my support system that it really kicked in. And from there, it just became a box of this is safe and everything out here isn't.
Reconnect is one of just 2 eating disorder clinics to receive the status Center of Excellence by the Missouri Eating Disorders Council. The Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals affirmed the Wyandotte Nation Reservation. That means the tribal nation can now exercise its territorial jurisdiction over its lands and people. While the Wyandotte Nation says they knew the reservation was not disestablished, they were glad to see the court recognizing that fact. The reservation area is about 20,000 acres.
One of the things that's really important to a community, is basically protecting and making sure that we protect the community, and with that is the police protection that we can provide and the safety we can provide for the citizens who live on the reservation.
Before, most of our law enforcement efforts were kind of centered around our developed area up here, the casino, the housing districts, the truck stop, the town, kind of hyper-focused in this area. Now our attention has to extend to the entire range of the reservation.
The reservation status brings law enforcement service obligations to the tribal nation. Since 2020, various reservations in Oklahoma have been reaffirmed after the Supreme Court decision in McGirt versus Oklahoma. Today is International Women's Day, which acknowledges the many accomplishments of women that include social, political, economic impacts. We asked some Pitt State students for their thoughts on recognizing women.
I think it's important because their accomplishments get recognized every day, so I feel like women should too, because a lot of women sacrifice stuff that goes unnoticed, and not everybody appreciates women, honestly.
International Women's Day is celebrated during Women's History Month, which takes place every March. Neosho High School students today celebrated diversity with the district by hosting a multicultural night. Students were able to celebrate their culture by performing something that represents their heritage as a showcase for the rest of the school.
We want everyone to be aware that all our differences come together and we're beautiful all together, and that's our power. Being different, being diverse is our power.
The event featured foods, dances, and activities from various parts of the world. State high school basketball tournament continues in Kansas. John's going to have highlights from a pair of semifinals later in sports coming up. But first, the Carthage Chamber of Commerce gave business owners a chance to connect with one another.
Your bacon, get both.
Fresh off his State of the Union address, President Biden is hitting the road in Pennsylvania to sell his vision for the next 4 years. Natalie Brand has the latest.
In his first rally after his State of the Union address, President Biden remained focused on former President Donald Trump as he prepares for a rematch.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans are trying to take away our freedoms. That's not an exaggeration. Well, guess what? We will not let him.
The president campaigned in Pennsylvania Friday, one of the several battleground states that could determine the November election. Earlier, he was asked whether he would debate Trump, who is likely to clinch the GOP nomination.
It depends on his behavior.
In a fiery State of the Union, President Biden referenced Trump more than a dozen times without using his name, warning of threats to democracy at home and abroad.
Now my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, do whatever the hell you want.
Trump fired back in a video on social media.
Joe Biden is on the run from his record. and lying like crazy to try and escape accountability for the horrific devastation he and his party have created.
Friday, President Biden worked to shore up votes in the Philadelphia suburbs along with the First Lady.
The people who really delivered the election to him were young people and voters of color. And those are the exact groups that we're seeing a lot of lack of enthusiasm for him right now.
George Washington professor Todd Belt says Trump's levels of support also show political warning signs.
Donald Trump never won a presidential election outright. He always had a plurality. He got the right states, but he didn't get the majority.
Both the current president and former will hold dueling rallies in Georgia, another battleground state, on Saturday ahead of the primary there Tuesday. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Next week, the president heads to New Hampshire, Wisconsin, and Michigan. President Biden, meanwhile, criticized Trump for hosting Hungary's right-wing nationalist Prime Minister Viktor Orban at the former president's Mar-a-Lago estate this afternoon. The Carthage Chamber of Commerce today gave business owners a chance to connect with each other. They kicked off their annual B2B Business Expo at Memorial Auditorium. This year's theme is March Madness. Today, business owners and entrepreneurs were able to check out the booths to get an idea of all the services offered in the area. It's open to the public tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Well, our tagline is March Madness, our businesses are elevating the game. And that's what we want to show the community and those when they come into Carthage, that our businesses are by far one of the best that you could ever participate in.
Again, tomorrow morning. Junior high school students in Carthage keep a tradition alive by making ramen noodle omelets. Some say the tradition goes back at least 20 years. It's just like an omelet, only the recipe calls for ramen soup. For one teacher, the appeal of the omelet is nostalgia.
I keep the ramen noodle omelet just because it's one of those nostalgic things. I loved it. I've got some kids that, I say the word ramen noodle omelet and they have that face of oh my gosh, that sounds scary. But luckily today we've had every single person love it. So it's just to keep, that thing going.
Yeah, well, some have described the taste as surprisingly delicious. Maybe, who knows? Doug's forecast is next, and later, Pitt State takes on Missouri Southern in the MIAA tournament. John's going to have that story and more coming up in sports.
This is home.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a chilly Friday after we had showers, thunderstorms last night, some severe weather, cold front dropped through. So our temperatures today on the Missouri side, we kind of hung into lower 50s, but on the Kansas side, we stayed into the 40s all day long. Our temperatures continue to drop. Now everybody upper 30s to lower 40s will drop back. I think most of us 35 degrees later on tonight. Northerly winds, kind of breezy for us today, 5 to 10 to 15. These will start to calm down a little bit as we get through the overnight hours. All right, last night, of course, we had that thunderstorms. Look at these big thunderstorms that rotated through, had some severe weather, just clouds, a little bit of drizzle out there for us today, a few showers in our southern counties. But besides that, we are on a drying trend as we go into the weekend. Look at rainfall amounts. Okay, south of I-44, you guys are under 1/4 of an inch. Look at this, north of I-44, where you see the greens, anywhere from 1/4 of an inch upwards to a couple inches. The orange and the yellow is at least 3 inches, and then we had some pockets of 4 to 5 inches of rain in southwestern parts of Missouri. Here's the upper level low that is rotating through. As it passes by, we start to clear out later on tonight. So this system is going to rotate out of here, but look at the upper level winds right out of parts of Canada, and that's why it's going to be cooler as we head into the weekend, which kind of stinks, but at least we're going to have the sunshine. All right, let's go through time. Let's stop at 1 a.m. Still some showers, southern counties. So we're talking Benton County, McDonald County, Berry County, even into Lawrence County, and still a little bit of drizzle. As we get into the morning hours, look at this, a few flakes of snow trying to mix in. We start to clear out during the morning hours, but we're only into the mid to upper 40s by noon. Once we get into the afternoon, check this out. High temps 50, 51, 52 degrees, but it will be sunny. Tomorrow night, it's going to be cold. We're going to drop back lower 30s, even some upper 20s across the region. But Sunday, we get southerly winds returning. Temperatures look better. I think most of us 60, 61 degrees by the time Sunday rolls around. All right, so 51 on your Saturday. Freeze tomorrow night. We still have many freezes to go. And then 61 by the time Sunday rolls around. But check this out. By Monday, mid 60s. Tuesday, here comes our next storm system. So chances for showers and thunderstorms. Some of those guys could be strong, possibly severe, and more thunderstorms sticking around really through the second half of next week. All right, 51 on your Saturday. Don't forget the clocks. They move forward 1 hour tomorrow night. 61 on Sunday, 66 on Monday, 70s return by the time Tuesday and Wednesday roll around.
Doug, thanks. Now, yesterday we told you the city of Carl Junction storm sirens are not working. Well, we spoke to the Carl Junction Police Department today, who said they expect a technician out on Monday to work on the sirens, barring a severe weather threat, in which case we would want to sound those just as a test. So they hope to be working on that on Monday. Still ahead, Fort Scott and Colgan girls basketball both try to punch their tickets to the state championship. And Missouri Southern and Pittsburgh State women's basketball go down to the wire in Kansas City. John Dales has those stories and more. It's coming up next.
Casino is more.
Early this afternoon, Pitt State women's basketball knocks off Missouri Southern 73-65 in the quarterfinals of the MIAA tournament. Our sports reporter Brock Baldridge has the post-game reaction from Kansas City.
Well, we're in the quarterfinal round of the MIAA tournament, a repeat of last year's matchup between the Missouri Southern Lions and the Pittsburgh State Gorillas, except this year's result was different.
We just couldn't get a couple stops when we needed it. And then we got some good looks offensively. I don't know how many times the ball literally looked like it was halfway down and then came out multiple times. You know, if those things go in, it's a totally different ballgame. I think our resume is pretty good. If this is Division I, I would say, yeah, we're in. There's no doubt. Division II, it's a whole different story.
It's too bad somebody has to lose, but that was just an epic battle. So I thought our kids made some really tough plays down the stretch. So they're trying to stay focused on just the next game, and it's going to be because at this point you could lose and be done. So I think that's a good mentality to have, and it shows a lot of maturity on their part.
Pitt State advances to the semifinals game. The Gorillas will be back here right here tomorrow at noon, facing the #1 seed Missouri Western. In Kansas City, Brock Baldridge, KOM Sports.
Thank you, Brock. In the final game of the night, MIAA quarterfinals, Pitt State men taking on Central Oklahoma. Opening minutes of the contest, R.J. Forney knocks it down from beyond the arc. Next possession, the Gorillas go back to the hot hand. Forney drains another three, PSU up by 1. Later in the half, though, the Broncos, well, they know how to keep up. Former MIAA Player of the Year, Jaden Wells, hits the jumper. Then Danquez Dawsey off the dribble knocks down a three-pointer of his own. The Gorillas, though, continue to stay hot. Jeremy Shaw in particular, he fires away from the top of the key, drains it, then on the fast break, Shaw again open in the corner, and he hits that one. We go ahead to the second half, more of the same. Shaw just keeps shining. 34 points from him tonight. Pitt State wins it 84-65. Gorillas will play Fort Hays State in the semifinals tomorrow night. Over in Kansas, state tournaments continue tonight at the high school level. 2 of our local schools advance to semifinals this evening. Unbeaten Colgan taking on Wichita Independent in state semifinals. Dina Holmes gets the early bucket for Independent. Then Stephanie Safi Salumno takes it herself. Colgan down by 9.5, but Lily Brown becomes a factor in the third. First, stick back plus the foul. Then Colgan goes back to Brown. Inside she scores. The game is tied after they trailed by 11. But Independent's Zoe Buckner Franklin takes over. She scores 9 in a row in the fourth. Colgan falls 48-40 in the semifinals. Lady Panthers will play for third tomorrow. In Class 4A, Fort Scott girls basketball also falls in the semifinals. The Lady Tigers, they lose to Bishop Miege 61-32. Stags have been dominant at the state tournament. They also blew out Labette County in the quarterfinals. Fort Scott's season not over yet though. They'll play McPherson. That's in the third place game tomorrow at noon. And over in Missouri, Aurora girls basketball home tonight for the Class 4 state quarterfinals. Lady Hounds season comes to an end. One game before the Final Four. Aurora loses to Owensville 38-35 on its home floor. Lady Hounds finished the season 25-5. Tonight was their only home loss of the year.
Wow.
Yeah. Tough way to go, definitely.
Yes,
but
it is, but they still have a lot to be proud of.
definitely,
Sure.
yeah.
We'll be right back.
Vice President of Operations.
Hey, a quick reminder to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports. All you have to do is download the KOAM News app. It's really simple to do. You can see the QR code there on your screen. It's especially going to be important to stay up to date on the weather as we head into the severe weather season. You'll find the app free of charge wherever you download your app. Again, just search for the KOAM News app. Now let's check back with Doug.
All right, it's going to be a chilly night tonight. Most of us will drop back 33, 34 degrees and then 51. So a chilly Saturday, but the sunshine returns. Of course, on Sunday, evening daylight hours extend and temperatures better up to 61 degrees. And then we get back into the 70s by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week.
Yeah, I love daylight saving time.
Yep.
Final sports notes.
Yeah, a couple of national champions at the indoor track and field national championships today. Erica Schammel from Pittsburgh State and Peyton Barton from Missouri Southern.
Very good. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to spring forward tomorrow night, and let's make it a great weekend.
To you by AutoInjury.com.